20 times higher. We also looked at Brexit, hashtag Brexit. It's 40 times more. So what this graph tells you here, during this time, people were far more interested in discussing Brexit than discussing social care. That's the first point. But there are still many tweets about social care, so we had a close look at it. What Twitter users say, it's a system in crisis. And this is seen in various ways, not only through the word crisis, that is here at the top, cuts, funding, but also through various metaphors. And here is an example. Social care is a traumatized organization struggling to get along. And through these tweets, we also saw that we could clearly see that Labour emerged as the party to fix this problem. And the Conservatives were also mentioned, but when they were mentioned, it was usually to say that they created the problem. And what is worse, they don't even have a plan. No plan by the Conservatives. We also looked at the social groups along the same line as before. What is interesting to point here is the highest column here, older people. So it means that for Twitter users, older people were the most frequently mentioned. The most interesting point here in this graph is the last column, the column in green. These are references to adult social care. So for Twitter users, adult social care was an important point. So we looked more closely at these occurrences of adult social care. There are lots of mentions of cuts in the funding for adult social care. But at the same time, we start to see some positive tweets, if you can put it that way. Some tweets that were about how important adult social care is and how beneficial it can be. This is an example when you say that everyone deserves the right to live a full independent life. Adult social care can make this happen. So just a last point before I go. If you got the feeling that the Twitter users were in a way defending the Labour narrative, you probably got it right. Most users were actually from the Labour Party themselves. I just listed here some of the institutional ones, but there are lots of individuals that were the top tweeters, including Jeremy Corbyn. So there were hardly any tweets from the Conservatives and very little from the Lib Dems, so the data is a bit biased. And that's where I go. Thank you.
So, part of our task in reframing social care is to see if we can find any new metaphors that will help us to tell the story of social care that we want to tell, that counters that very negative story that we have at the moment all around crisis and burden and cost. So it needs to do the job of aiding understanding around what social care is and countering some of the fatalism of that crisis messaging. So I know in a previous event, this is one that has already been generated by Social Care Future. It's actually invisible scaffolding, not scaffolding that you can see, but social care acting as a form of invisible scaffolding. So we're going to do that together now. Now, this is not an easy task. We've done it once before, but with a much smaller group, but we're going to give it a go. So the best metaphors are those that come up naturally in conversation. Okay, so they tend to be the ones that pop into your head, that are most relatable, are the ones that end up sticking and are passed along from person to person, which is how they end up rooting in culture, like I described. So we're going to get creative and come up, I hope, with some metaphors that we can then look at testing in the next phase of this project, which is with the public. So we've got 2 exercises for you. So I'll run through it, and I've also got some examples here that we haven't. We've got any blue tack or anything? I'll put them on the floor. But we have a pile of examples here to just give you a bit of inspiration. These are copies of news headlines where metaphors have been used. And I think it really illustrates quite well how they're used just naturally without us even noticing at all. So this is the first exercise. So we'd like you to find a partner to work with, preferably someone that you don't know, but if you do, I'd like you to pretend that you're meeting this person for the first time, and that they know nothing about social care, okay, nothing at all. And I'd like you to think of it as an informal social situation, so down the pub, in a cafe, wherever you like. And we'd like you to take it in turns to chat to this person. Actually tell them who you are, a bit about yourself, what you're doing here today, for example. And then during that conversation, we want you to start talking about social care. And again, remembering that your partner has never heard of this term before, so they don't know anything about it. And if possible, we want you to start that sentence with social care is. And then the person who's listening, we want you to listen out to see whether your partner uses any language, so visual language, to describe what it is. Is that clear? It's a little bit complicated, but we're going to give it a go, okay? So I have great confidence in you that you're going to come out with some metaphors. So the person who is listening, I want you just to hear, and if they come up with any sort of metaphorical language, any metaphors, just to note them down, so either in your head or to write them down on a piece of paper. And then we're going to swap round and you're going to do the same. Okay, so off you go. Yeah.